Indian hospitality has been topmost for very long.
So it's all about Instagram right now. So if you see so many influencers coming on Instagram, they were promoting their next place.
It's a question of letting people know. Then what did they eat? Instagram was just a part of it. First you talked about it, now you put it up. It's instant. Service is one part, it's black and white. Serve on the right, serve on the left, all that done. Hospitality is how much are you taking care of? How much are you preempting what he needs? Bombay doesn't see much of weather variation happening, but a place like Delhi would have a winter menu and a summer menu. I have to create a craving for you to come and have that. Or whenever you think of that particular dish, you have to think about it. Firstly, a lot of people have moved from formal dining to informal dining. That's why the cafe culture came.
When you walk into a new restaurant, what are the first three things you kind of look at?
See, we have to start attracting talent. Our business is a people's business, both sides of the fence. Here I'm attracting guests, here I have to attract talent. If I don't attract the right talent, the places are not going.
It's heard that IHM around the country, the numbers have fallen. Most of the generation, they don't want to get into hospitality. I mean, is it right? Who's on air? Namaskaram. This is Kamlak Shetty and you're watching a show where it's going to be amazing things happening, amazing talks happening, and it's about industry leaders. And right now we have with us Mr. Somnath Bhattacharya. He's a CEO for more than 15 years with Indigo Hospitality and a former chef. Lots and lots of good things to be spoken. And chef,
Thank you so much, Kamlak.
Sir, CEO, I had so many things to call you right now. It's so good to see you on the show. And Chef, if you won't mind, just give us more things about yourself just to begin the show.
Okay. It's been a very long journey so far. It's been about 25 years. Started off with the Taj Group of Hotels, a brief stint there. And then after that, it was the cruise liners for some time. And then back into the hotel industry, and then into the standalone F&B industry. So that's how it's been placed for the last 25 years, but very much in food and beverage. Half of it spent as a chef, half of it spent on the other side of this in administrating.
So you have it all in, like I would say, or still learning?
Still learning, because this industry is evolving. Today, it is not only about restaurants, it's about caterings, it's about institutional caterings. It's again, then now there are home chefs come in where there are delivery things happening. So if you look at it from the time that it started, there's been a lot of evolution happening and it's going to evolve further. So we don't know where it's going. So it's always going to be, there's always going to be that learning curve. Wherever you get in, however you get in.
With so many players right now and with the delivery part happening so popular, people like to sit at home and order.
Right.
How do you see this evolving from here? Like, how do you feel that this, like as you said, is there a graph for this to move?
Definitely. It's going to grow, and in the next 5 years, it should double. People are not going to stop eating.
That's true.
People will eat, one, for necessity, for basics, and people will, every celebration, if you look at it in India, wherever it happens, it centers around food. There is an element of food in it. So people, you will have people coming to eat and things will only grow for the better.
Right. So it's all about Instagram right now. So if you see so many influencers coming on Instagram, they were promoting their next place. Does it work? Not only, it's a shift of between the quality of food and experience. So how do you kind of handle this in the coming days?
See, this is the evolution that we were talking about.
Uh-huh.
First, it was only about food. It was about eating out. Right. Then things came when people wanted to show that where did they go out. It's a question of letting people know. Then what did they eat? Instagram was just a part of it. First you talked about it, now you put it up. It's instant. Right? While I'm there, it's happening. It does take away from some experience from very conventional chefs and all. They'll say, listen, food's getting cold. Food is not right because you're photographing and stuff like that. Then you're eating. But yes, it is part of the culture that we are stepping into. It's going to be there, or it might evolve into something else, but that's how it is. But the basic which remains is your food. Is your food tasty? That will be the winner. Is your experience good enough? That is drawing people to your place. That is going to be there, because anybody who's into the food and beverage industry, first thing you understand is there are two things. There is a food part of it, there's a finance part of it. You got to be familiar with both.
Okay.
Food is your product, which draws people to you.
Okay.
How does this evolve into a business? Is because you have to sustain yourself. Because when you open a business, when you're doing a business, there are people working with you. You have at least 100 people who look up to you.
Okay.
Right? So you got to maintain them. You got to help them grow. So there's a food part and there's a finance part, which you have to be very, very thorough with. But it's at which stage of your career you're going to do what. You don't want to mix up too many things, then you're going to end up very confused in life. So you grow. You start concentrating on the food, kind of sharpening your skills, doing good. You're working under somebody. You're with a mentor. Then after some time, you want to do it on your own. Perfect. Do it on your own. You've got your own following. You've got your own way of doing things. Right? And then when you're running that business is when you start to understand the finance part of it.
Right.
So you get exposed to everything at a stage where it kind of culminates in you doing that business.
So when you spoke about sustainability, the finance part of it, and then of course the taste does matter. So in a place like Mumbai, where we are right now, we chatted about this. It usually, like, out of 10 restaurants, 6 close, and probably 50 restaurants or so open up. And same, almost about 30-40% of them close every month. So what is that kind of makes those restaurants click? The ones which are still there for like almost 30-40 years. What is that? What is that kind of magic they create?
First of all, you're very right. This is a very high risk business.
Okay.
Let's be very clear about it. It's a very high risk business. It's a high risk investment. But again, the threshold of the investment being much lower than what you would do. So there are more people getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
Point two is, what are you opening the restaurant for?
Mm-hmm.
He's doing well, so let's open another restaurant like that. Is not something that you're going to go with. You should have something which is original and different that people will come to you. You cannot be a copy. A lot of people want to copy because that one, he's doing well, I should do something similar, is something which, doesn't work at times.
Mm-hmm.
That's one part of it. Secondly, when you're opening a restaurant, is how deeply have you studied the so-called business reports?
Okay.
How deeply and very practically have you gone through it?
Okay.
That this is how much I will spend, this is how much I will make, and then can I sustain? Or this is the kind of support I will require. So these things coming together. And another thing which we see a lot of times, people make a mistake. I won't say mistake, is they overlook things. Is they will have only one kind of people, only the chefs working together.
Okay.
Or this. So when you're forming a team, when you want to open, it's always good to have somebody from the other, like the finance team, or somebody who knows about real estate, stuff like that, as a part of the team. So you can get a very holistic approach to the whole thing. So you don't make mistakes.
Okay.
So I think that's very important. Or you ask for opinions. You go to people and say that this is what I'm planning to do. Okay. Is this right? Am I on the right path? I'm on the wrong path. So these are certain things which I think are very important.
So somebody who wants to open a new restaurant, what's the kind of input? Because you said real estate also, which is a big concern in most of the metro cities.
It's the most expensive thing.
So that kind of affects the working of any new business for a long period of time also.
Is the first thing, is the first expense which is there, and which is the largest expense, especially in a city like Bombay. If you don't have the right deals,
okay,
and you've not kind of cracked the right things, it can take you down in 3 months.
3 months. So
see, reason is, first and foremost is, how much have you negotiated as rent-free period? Because you got to build it.
Okay.
From then on, you cannot have a delay in building it, because every month that you're delaying
Okay.
of the opening of the restaurant, your rents have started.
Okay.
Your staff is sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So these are things which brings in efficiency. So you have to be very careful of how you dealt with real estate.
Okay.
Rents have to be very friendly, so to say, because you're opening something new. If I am a chain and then I'm going into another brand, okay, I already have a certain equity.
Okay.
So I'm pulling it. So I might not need that gestation period of, say, 2 months or 3 months for people to come, but it might happen. But there the chances are less. But as an individual, when I'm opening something, a brand which is so completely new, the gestation period increases, because you will have to convince people to come to you. That happens over a period of time, say about 3 months, at least. Then people talk, then people kind of get used to it. And then it starts growing from there. So those 3 months or 6 months from the time you've opened is very crucial. And that is the time, if you've not, like I said, if you've not done the right deals, if you've not kept enough money to, work on operations, it can bring you down.
But people usually do the food business out of more of passion. They think कि मेरा खाना बहुत अच्छा है और लोग पसंद करेंगे आएंगे करके. So what is that they are missing? And most of the businesses, especially in a metro like Mumbai, they fail. I mean, they don't sustain more than sometimes 6 months, 3 months, as you said. They don't last more than a year, and then they're back again. They're probably sold it to somebody, or the business has gone to somebody else. So what is the kind of thing they should do to probably think about long term, like, where, as you said, they need to have a proper project report in hand to take it to another level. So what are the nuances they should have to probably start a business and sustain?
First and foremost, the word that we use, passion, every time, I think it's a little overrated and overused to a point. What are you going to be passionate about? Running your business or your product?
Okay.
You have a passion to run your product. If you're passionate about your product, you're not going to be open to suggestions and opinions. I like my food. What I cook is something.
Okay.
Tomorrow will Kamlaksh buy it.
Okay.
I need that opinion. I need to first get on that. And why will you buy it? Why will you cover it? Right? So that's very important to move away from the passion to something which is a very planned business thing.
Okay.
Passion is there because I want to run a restaurant.
Okay.
I am a chef. I want to run a restaurant. That's the passion behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But that passion, you have to put back a little. Don your hat, which is very practical.
It's about money.
It's about money. Money will, see, you do it right, money will come. It'll sustain, it'll grow.
Okay.
Right? So eventually it's a cycle. You cannot ignore any of these 4 legs. Like this table, you cut off one leg, it's going to start wobbling. The same thing happens.
So put it back again. The way you sequence is,
you have the product.
You have the product.
Right. Then you have the finances and the process to run it properly.
Okay.
Right. Then you can sustain yourself.
Okay.
Because the money is coming in, and then you can grow.
Okay. The biggest problem right now in our country is the manpower, the labor, the skilled labor,
right,
which has been a huge concern, because I think we're not getting the right kind of people to, probably you'll get a chef, but again, after a while, he wants to move out. So how do you tackle those kind of things then?
It's been around for very long. It's a cycle.
Okay.
I am a chef. I'm here. Then because even I need my advancement to a certain point, I will move on either to another property or I'll start something else. But then we forget one thing. It's not about the chef alone.
Okay.
It's the team that he has with him.
Okay.
That team has to be a very well-knit team that he selected and put in place.
So that has to have a leadership quality to that person also.
Of course, he's leading the team.
Right.
He's definitely leading the team. One leader goes, another leader will come. Maybe 1 or 2 months by the time he realizes. Because everybody's got a different way of operating. So he will put his standards into place. He will put his expectations into place. And then it carries on from there. But it's very, very important to have a good team. What you said about skilled labor, yes, we are very short of skilled labor. And especially the F&B industry and the hospitality industry has lost a lot of people post-COVID. Because a lot of people, after what they went through during the pandemic, they did not come back to this industry.
What's the reason for that?
I would say a lot of people were not treated right.
So when you say not treated right, means how? Like
they were not taken care of.
Okay.
The expectation, what happens when I work somewhere, expectations are in troubled times, you'll look after me.
Okay.
But a lot of people, maybe it didn't happen, so they went back. Okay. Then the whole thing, another thing which I have seen at first hand is because we were also doing support work during the pandemic is people started feeling very helpless.
Okay.
They were isolated where they were staying.
Okay.
Right. They didn't know where the next meal was coming from because everything was shut. You're right. So they felt very isolated because they were all away from home. They were all kind of expats out here. I mean, from other states and all that. Right. So, and nobody's doors were open. Nobody was willing to let other people come and stay because there was that stigma about outside people and stuff like that. So I think that is the time when we were speaking to our guys and all that till they got their first opportunities to go back to their place of origin. It was a very, very emotionally trying time.
Okay.
So I think after that, a lot of people stayed back in their hometowns and they did their own businesses and stuff like that. A lot of people went close by. And another thing what's happened is internationally, a lot of opportunities have opened up for the Indian crew, which was not there initially.
Okay.
So there's a huge amount of people going abroad.
So the pandemic changed the equation of how people look at this industry.
Absolutely.
So they would like to still go to a cruise liner and work there because the monies are better, there's more security. Is that so?
The money is better, they have a better way of life. They come back to a better way of life. What are you earning for? You're earning to upgrade your life and your family's life. So you get it, you can save much more. You're not doing taxes. Secondly, you have a very regulated work-life balance.
Okay.
You work 8 months, you're off for 2 months.
Which doesn't exist.
Which doesn't happen here. But yes, there are prices to pay because you're so far away. You miss your weddings and stuff like that in the family, which if you're staying here, you could have just gone for a week and come back. But it doesn't become practical and becomes expensive.
So probably it's just about the money which is
there is
drawing
money.
them.
No, I'll be wrong to say it's only money because there is a lot of scope to learn. Please understand the whole hospitality bit or food bit has evolved in the West and then it comes here. Everything, more or less, I won't say everything. At least 60-70% of concepts and everything evolves in the West, then comes here. So they are seeing it firsthand. They are feeling it firsthand. How's the evolution happening? What's happening? How is it moving forward? When they come back here, they are definitely much more skilled and talented.
Okay.
So the market value increases.
So they are called for more often. Yeah. Probably the value is higher.
So today, if I have 3 chefs and I see that he's got an exposure, it's not about experience all the time.
No.
He's got an exposure, an international exposure, and with personalities or restaurants, which is really sought after. Of course, I will hire because then I can pick his brains for ideas.
Okay.
So he's also going to contribute to the ideation, to the thinking part.
Okay. So he has come back with much more thought.
He's come back fresher.
Yeah.
He's come back, very recently he's come back. So he's much fresher. He can tell you stuff which is happening, trends which are happening, trends which maybe they were doing.
So just to give you a little, I think a couple of weeks back we were in a restaurant which was a specialty restaurant. And they had one of these international chefs. And my experience about it is like he came up with very small portions of food. I mean, that's how probably specialty restaurants work. But for Indian palate, it was like I thought ki bahut kam khana aaya karke. But now we don't know that person is an international chef. But what's his the reality? Because we probably as Indians we feel koi international to har baar acha rahega. Is that so? I mean, I'm just a question. I mean, I'm just.
Point is. International chefs, they have their strengths.
Okay.
Let's see, they have their calling about what they are doing.
Okay.
But whenever you come, even by international, even national chefs, when they are moving cities, when they're moving, when they go there, there is a certain amount of ground adaptability which is required.
You mean to say knowing the part of the region?
Wherever you're going, suppose I'm coming to Bombay, what would be my taste preferences? What would be my preferences in terms of veg, non-veg, and a lot of things. What would I eat? What won't I eat? What spices is prevalent here? A lot of people actually do it nowadays. A lot of international chefs first will do a pop-up here.
Okay.
Okay, they'll gauge the market. Then they will come and think of opening a restaurant or be employed with somebody who's coming.
Okay.
So now things like I said, these are processes which have evolved. First, somebody would come, maybe it didn't like it, somebody wouldn't like it for 3-4 months, and then he would go back. It's happened. Things have happened, but it's not. It's you cannot put a finger. There is no. I would say there is not a single formula that this will succeed and this will not. Because it succeeded here, it will succeed here. No, doesn't matter.
So you've been with Indigo Hospital for more than 15 years, no?
More than 15 years.
15 years. So you also said ki earlier when we were talking, you also said ki even in a distance of 10 kilometers, the taste changes. Like what you would like in a Kolaba, Bandra taste would be different. So same Andheri taste would be.
Preferences would change. Taste preferences would change. Like I'll tell you a story. When we first went from Kolaba to Lokhandwala, that was our first move, and it was a giant move that time.
Okay.
It was huge. So when we went there, we never realized that taste preferences would be different.
Okay.
So when we open a restaurant, we usually spend about 90 days in that restaurant.
Okay.
So you get a first-hand kind of experience of what's happening, what's being
So
appreciated.
90 days is the period when you all kind of
That's-
judge the place.
So that is the time when every day at night we would sit with the chef and say, why did this come back?
Okay.
Why do you think half-eaten plates are coming back, of especially all this?
Okay.
So then you start talking to people and then you get a fair idea. See, a lot of people, when they are dining there, when you're with your friends, when you're dining there, even if you had not a great experience, you will not talk about it then. I will see that, okay, today Kamlaksh is there, he's not enjoyed it because it's not fully eaten plates and stuff like that. So I'll call you the next day and say, Kamlaksh, what happened? Then you'll be in a better position to tell me. Listen, this was my experience. It could be anything.
So that's the kind of feedback.
That's the kind of feedback which is very important. And if you work on the feedback, one thing is taking a feedback. Secondly is, are you actioning that feedback?
Right.
When are you actioning the feedback? That when it's very often.
Mm-hmm.
Say a particular thing you've said, she said, he said. That definitely is a problem. That needs to be changed. And if you're going to get stuck with our egos and say that, oh no, that's not changing, that's a problem.
So been in the industry for such a long time. So when you walk into a new restaurant, what are the first 3 things you kind of look at?
First impression is always how warm is the place.
Okay. That's about the people.
And that's the people.
Okay.
You can spend a lot of money in building what we say a very expensive hardware.
Okay.
But your software is the people. That's how it's going to run it faster, run it better. If that gives you a great vibe,
okay,
yeah, half the thing. Then how clean is it?
Okay, cleanliness
part of it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all it's now because you book tables and all that. How was your experience been like offline?
Okay.
Like when I called for a booking, were they helpful and stuff like that? So those are the 3 things which will have an impression. And people, like in our industry, people say the first impression always counts, or the first step always counts, because the moment you're upset with that first step, your experience cannot be good, because you've come with a pre-notion that no, things are not worked out well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you have to be very careful. And for now on, we have to be very, like people say, what actually works is something called excellence. you drive for excellence, and that excellence starts from the valet.
Okay.
Your first point of contact is the valet.
Okay.
Okay, so from there to you come back to the valet to collect your keys.
Okay.
Is to be monitored is how well can you get that culture imbibed into that thing so that you get an excellent experience. And you'll be surprised to know that how much feedback the valets give us.
Okay, because they probably get to hear from the
They're standing
clients.
there
Yes.
waiting for the cars.
Okay.
So a lot of time he'll come and say, "वो जो guest निकला था,
वो ये
I
बोल
don't
रहा
know,
था.
I don't think he was happy."
अच्छा. Okay.
So again, I have to keep that communication line open.
Okay.
Is everybody who comes across something like that, I am taking it into cognizance.
Okay.
That's important for me. And I have to be approachable. He should be in a position to come and tell me.
So how do you handle a very negative feedback on people? It's very difficult to keep people happy because everybody has a different palate. The tastes are different. So how do you handle when somebody says, okay, this is terrible or whatever? How do you handle?
You never dispute taste. My first boss taught me. Rahul Okerkar always said, you never dispute taste. That was how his company was called. The entity of taste, the Gambus.
Okay.
You don't like it, you don't like it. I will not argue with you. What can I do to at least make your experience satisfactory or meal satisfactory for that time? I don't want you to walk out unsatisfied.
Okay.
So it's very clear. You don't dispute taste. I will not say it's not he say, you say, me say, nothing. You didn't like it, you didn't like it. Thank you very much. What can I get you?
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay. So that's the approach you all keep.
Yeah, we always try.
Since you already mentioned Gastibus, so what are the things which makes Gastibus? Because you've been with them, and what are those things which is very, very different from the rest of the industry? Like
from the rest, Gastibus was the first of the standalone restaurants in that category.
Okay.
When it opened in 99. The Indigo opened in 99 at 4 Mandalay Road.
Okay.
So and secondly, it was a restaurant which was doing Western food, which was kind of not prevalent, that high end of a restaurant.
Okay.
You were right behind the Taj.
That was the first restaurant which is
you were competing with the giants.
And still people kind of frequented that place.
It became a destination.
Uh-huh.
It became a destination. So there, both the founders that time, Rahul and his wife, they had a very clear culture that they put is guest first.
Okay.
It's simple. But if guests were like abusive or something, would you accept it? No. But for all guest service and everything, guest is first.
Okay.
So that's when that thing came out. Would I dispute if you say that it's not tasting good? I won't dispute. I'll say, what can I get you?
Mm-hmm.
What would you want?
Okay.
So just to make that, there were times when we've had a guest who's been in the restaurant for the last 7-8 days, and he was so kind of bored, I would say, with the food because he was eating the same thing.
But he liked that same thing.
He was entertaining people there because he was comfortable.
Uh-huh.
But he was eating the same thing every day. So eventually, we gave him something from the staff food.
Okay.
Plated and all done properly.
Okay.
Just to change his palate. But just to make him comfortable because he's hosting something.
Okay.
So this is the level of hospitality you went to. They were very clear. The service is one part. It's black and white.
Okay.
Serve from the right, serve from the left, all that done. Hospitality is how much are you taking care of the person? How much are you preempting what he needs?
Mm-hmm.
How are you handling it?
Mm.
Hospitality has to be top notch.
Okay.
So that is something as a culture came in, that is something which became a benchmark at that.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just a question, personal question too. Since you are it's time when we have order at home food. Are you the type who would order at home food, or you like to go out and eat still?
For me personally,
Yeah, personally.
I still like home cooked food. If I'm at home, I would like home cooked food.
So
I
you
won't
cook, you
order.
cook yourself.
No, I don't.
You don't.
No,
So,
I don't. My
so-
wife doesn't allow me into the kitchen because I make a mess out of it.
but you would have. You've been such a wonderful chef. So have you might have trained the thing, or she trains you?
No. That training and all that is okay, but at the home, it's that's not my area.
Okay.
So I would rather go to a restaurant and eat, unless it's for some convenience that I'm ordering it.
Okay.
I would rather go and experience a dine-in. I'm very old-fashioned, maybe that way. I would rather go to a restaurant. Because frankly, whatever said and done, food which is made there comes to you on your table within 10 minutes of it being made, or maximum 10 minutes, 5-6 minutes. It's a much different experience than it comes to your house,
Mm-hmm.
right? 40
Right.
minutes to come there. And
So the
way
taste
it is-
might vary at that.
Of course it will vary. Then you're sitting in that opulence. You're sitting in with people, enjoying
The
meal.
experience.
Yeah. It's all about the experience now. See, good food, good service is a prerequisite. Period.
Right, but I think the now generation wants, like, they don't want to step out. They just want to be there on their mobile. The food.
Like I said, so that's why it's evolving into categories.
Hmm.
People will have that. If I'm going to sit at home, I might well order from here. This kind of food sits very well on a delivery.
Okay.
This food doesn't work very well on a delivery. So we'll order from here, we'll order from. So you're going to have classifications very soon.
You mean that's something yet to come, or
That's
people?
still yet to come. Now everybody's there in the delivery space. And every time we're talking to the people from the delivery zone, and we keep saying that this is a problem. So till today, Indigo Delhi has never served pizzas as a delivery.
What's the reason?
It doesn't last.
Ah.
It doesn't last. It just lasts enough to be on the table. It doesn't
So
last.
what you mean to say with the pizza which comes home is not the way it would have been eaten?
No,
at
the thin crust pizza will die.
But the other pizzas, they would.
The
The
thick
taste
crust,
will still
yeah.
differ. You mean
Yeah.
to say? So, are there any age-old practices and which still exist in the hospitality industry that have become customary traditions? I mean, are there any practices like that?
The whole hospitality is still very age old. Indian hospitality has been topmost for very long. It's been revered all over.
That's
Today, that's the reason when you talk about cruise ships and all. Why do people take Indian crew from here?
okay.
They're trained, and we as a race are also very hospitable people. Like when you have guests in the house and all that, you are very hospitable.
Hmm.
By nature, you're very hospitable.
Hmm.
So you just bring that out.
Okay.
Right. So so those age-old things will remain. Then we are going back to our basics. If you look at it now, you're looking for grandmother's recipes,
Right.
right? You're looking for the old recipes which was part of our culture.
Right.
You're looking at regional food, sub-regional food.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at ingredients which are very specific to a region,
Right.
right? So they are becoming the superstars now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So is it exists? Of course it exists. Are we looking for it? We are with a vengeance looking for it.
There are certain restaurants where they are calling in ladies, home chefs, to come and cook at their
Yeah.
place.
We used to do it for a brand we had Neil at the Mahalakshmi race course.
So you used to call home chefs?
We used to call home chefs because they would have the exact right way of doing things.
Okay.
And they would represent different regions. We would learn from them. Our other chefs also, the banqueting chefs would also come because they would also get an exposure
Okay.
for how it's done, the right way, the right mixes, how you do the spices and stuff like that. So it was a great thing. We used to call it the thali tales.
The thali tales.
Yeah, because
Okay.
what happens when you're say Bihari food, for example,
Okay.
or say Bengali food, for example.
Hmm.
If you come to the restaurant, you would know what is the right sequence,
Right.
so we would make it into a sequence for you. we would tell you why this is had first, why this is. There's a custom behind it. There's a tradition behind it.
So who would say? The chef would go
The
and...
chef would go, or the waiters would be trained.
Okay.
That this is how it is. Then the home chefs also would be introduced.
So the home chef would come along when the
Yeah.
food is served. They would work in the kitchen.
See, they would, when the home chefs and this used to happen, we used to do it a month back when we would say, okay, X person is going to cook with us. So they would come, they would try out their recipes and all that. So a month back, all this would happen. And by the time our staff would also compliment them.
Okay.
So they picked up. So it's not, some home chefs are used to cooking a certain quantity. But these professional chefs are used to multiplying that thing. And then, what do you call it, a line cooking, because when a restaurant is operating, you're operating 20 tables at a time.
What is it called? Line?
It's called line cooking. So the line cooks are the ones who are actually on the stove cooking and giving it to you, remembering orders and stuff like that. So that is the time when the home chefs would be on the counter.
Okay.
Just to see that everything's coming out right. And they would have the time to go and interact with people.
Okay.
Right.
So how do you all decide how the planning of the dishes are done, how the menu is curated? Like, is it very regular? Is there a methodology for that, or you all keep changing the menu over a period of time? Because as you said, there's a particular guest who came in and he was having the same dish which he liked. So how do you all plan that? I mean, is it every 3 months you change, or usually there is a set menu?
No, there is a menu that we have.
Okay.
That's a set menu, what we call our regular menu. That would change, say, every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Bombay doesn't see much of weather variation happening, but a place like Delhi would have a winter menu and a summer menu.
Okay. So that's completely
Calcutta
different.
would have a winter menu and a summer menu. So those kind of things. Secondly is, what are the seasonal ingredients which are coming in at that period, which needs to be incorporated. And we had a very good practice of having a daily specials.
Right.
The daily specials, the chefs would show their talent, which the chef who's on board at that particular unit, he would make out his specials, what he thought right, under various categories, and we would print out and circulate it every day. So those were 2-3 things which would happen to keep it fresh. Even if a person, now of course, a person comes to a particular restaurant for a particular thing,
Particular dish.
Because the choices are much more. Earlier, the choices of restaurants were limited.
Okay.
So you had the same set of people coming in, say, twice a week or thrice a week. Menu fatigue used to be much more. Boredom used to come in much earlier. So that time, every 6 months, they used to change. But the composition of the menu would remain the same. How many soups, how many salads, how many starters, how many mains, how many desserts. Then are we including trends in the menu, like keto started? So are we doing anything? Then molecular gastronomy started.
You'll have to give a little bit about the molecular gastronomy.
Molecular gastronomy, they where flavors would be made into small caviars, like little balls, spheres.
Use a certain kind of a chemical to it.
Yes, they would do it, and which would burst in your mouth when you had it, in foams and stuff like that. So then we were also in a debate, like how much of it needs to be incorporated in the menu. Is it a fad? Or it is something to stay?
Okay.
If it's a fad, then it'll go away.
Okay.
So you just kind of embrace it a little and then let it kind of slide out. But it is something which is going to stay. Then you embrace the process and incorporate it in the menu.
Okay. So that's very interesting. I mean, because
it's a very hands-on, full-time thing. That's what happens.
But is this molecular gastronomy catching up with people? I mean,
no,
is it a regular thing, or it's special?
It's actually moved from food to alcohol now.
That I know of. I mean, I heard of them.
So when people couldn't relate to it in the food bit, like you said, you had smaller portions. You had this. Here we are used to wholesome flavors, larger portions. So it leaves a taste in your mouth. You have to create a craving. I have to create a craving for you to come and have that. Or whenever you think of that particular dish, you have to think about me.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why molecular did not work so much on food, but it is definitely working out for alcohol.
But not many restaurants are trying this method, right?
It was something which was very specialized.
Yeah, it's
not
specialized.
Yeah, not many people could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, another, like, we also took a little back step because we did not want to play around with chemicals. Like now you hear a blanket ban has come on using liquid nitrogen.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So you mean to say liquid nitrogen can't be used in any food products?
No, because they've had 2-3 incidents where people have been gravely injured.
You mean, liquid nitrogen is used in many, like mostly alcohol-based stuff.
Yeah, so I think in one case in the north where somebody had it and tore up his stomach intestines. Somebody had it, I think even in Mumbai. And it had, I'm not sure about Mumbai, but another place where the person was very, very ill. So, because these are things people have to know how to use. And secondly, that thing itself needs to be handled with care.
True.
Right? Because if there's a little bit of deviation from the way it's, you will enjoy yourself also when you're using it.
Okay, so the person who's doing, the chef or who was doing it has to be
Absolutely.
Who should know the way how it is done. So
he has to have an exposure. He must have done it somewhere. Only then he can do it here. But now, anyway, it's gone.
So I'll jump to another thing which I had asked you earlier. Is basically, it's heard that IHM around the country, the numbers have fallen. Most of the generation, they don't want to get into hospitality. I mean, is it right?
We've been hearing things about seats not being completely filled up this year and last year. But like I told you, a lot of people are moving away from the industry because maybe some of there are choices. Definitely, there are more choices for people. And secondly, yes, the hardships that initially were present and they've heard about or they've seen their fathers, they've seen their brothers go through it, it doesn't entice them anymore.
So because it's a journey, I think, so you need to learn the skill over a period of time. Right, from waiting at the table to going higher up the ranks. I mean, there are success stories of people who have become restaurants. I mean, starting from waiting at the table or being in where they clean the utensils. So you need to be through the process to probably reach a certain point.
It's like you're kind of learning a skill.
Right.
So learning a skill means you need practice. Right. So that is where you're doing it over a period. Like we say, okay, you got to be at least 2 years in a certain position, in a certain kind of place. So then we can consider you to go, because you have been through the, like you say, the mill of it. You've gone through it, and then you're ready for the next position. Then you're ready for. People today do not have so much of patience. You see, today with all the success stories that you see around, so everybody straight out of college wants to become a celebrity chef.
Right? They want to do it very quickly.
They want to do it, but it's a learning process of everything. Like I told you, first you learn how to cook, then you learn how to manage, then you learn how to own. Right? You can't. If that takes 10 years, it takes 10 years. Right? You cannot do it in 5 years. When you're doing it in 5 years, either you're going to be a burnout because you worked way too hard than expected, or you have just superficially done it, which eventually you're going to face, like, if restaurant shut down because somewhere down the line there was lacking. Even like success stories which have happened, people have seen failures and then they don't give up. Learn from the failure and move forward. Don't be a coward.
So would you tell me about any success story in the industry who has failed many times but still?
A lot of people.
There are new spots opening every time. So it's quick. They open quick, they shut quick. But they don't have any, any popular dishes or anything. They are doing the regular run-of-the-mill stuff. And most of them don't work. So is that like an healthy competition for the rest of the industry? How is it like?
Everything thrives on competition for sure, right? The only thing is, like I told you initially, when people want to open a restaurant, it's very easy to open a restaurant, but why are you opening the restaurant? Just because that's running around the corner, or this place I've heard is running? No, you don't want to copy things. A lot of places, if you're the first copy, like you said, this Chinese stuff, it's not going to run. You have to have a differentiating factor. You have to have something which is bring you to this. Oh, this guy does it very well. And if there are 30 items on the menu, each one should have a character, including your coffee. You'll be surprised how much a good coffee draws in how many people.
Okay.
Right? So from the coffee, like if you said a cafe culture, firstly, a lot of people have moved from formal dining to informal dining. That's why the cafe culture came up.
Okay.
A lot of people walk out of cafes now because a lot of gig economy and stuff like that. But yes, so which cafes are popular? If you look at it from an F&B perspective, it's the people who have a character in what they're doing. If it's a general mill of the compound, okay, the next one comes up, they'll go there.
Okay. So this is a question which is important for me. I mean, as a chef and CEO, would you rather be associated with a Michelin star or a hidden gem? Why do you think there's no Michelin guide for India?
It will come in.
It will come in?
It will come in. There will be, there are formalized ratings now happening.
Okay.
But it'll come in. But a hidden gem will eventually, if it has the potential, will be a Michelin star. Michelin star has already reached where it's reached. It has achieved.
Okay.
A hidden gem is, see, as when you're working for somebody or something, what is it? What have you achieved? If you push that hidden gem to becoming a Michelin star, that'll be satisfying for me. Right. I am joining in a success, definitely. It's a this. But if I can make that hidden gem into a Michelin star, that's what I've achieved.
Right. So then the processes has to be well set when you are to
everything, the whole functioning of the whole place, the way it goes, consistency.
Isn't that the need? That's the need for the country, isn't it? Like, because there's a lot going about in the F&B industry where it's about make in India. The mindset and is kind of there. So we are kind of right now at a juncture where we are going to give tough competition to the international brands also over a period of time. That's what I feel personally. What do you have to say on that?
You will have Indian brands going abroad and opening restaurants. You already, if you look at the UK and the US, so many of the Indian restaurants are doing so well.
Okay.
And they're getting very popular. And like concept like street food and all are very popular. Every third player is doing so well. Make in India, definitely the whole focus has changed, like we were talking about. It's become more product oriented. What is available in India? Like last 2 years, it was all about millets. People were talking, and suddenly when it comes into conversation, when it comes on a plate, comes in everywhere, then people are adapting to it.
People are liking the taste of it because
today,
your industry
today
kind
you
of
have a jackfruit taco also.
Jackfruit has become very popular, which never existed. Right.
So stuff like that, it's happening now. Suddenly, a lot of Indian ingredients have become like superfoods. Like ghee is a superfood. Which
they are patented it also in some parts, no?
Right. So there will be a lot of interest generated.
Okay. So for being in the industry, how important is formal education to be in the hospitality industry? Can on-field training be a substitute for a degree?
No, you will require some formal education for sure, because now there is a lot of technology also moving in.
Okay.
Right. Very frankly, it starts with, if you see, everybody today is ordering on a pad.
Okay.
That's got a back end, which you have to be familiar with. So there a little formal education is required. Today, the whole back end process of ordering ingredients and stuff like that from stores, from a chef's point of view, is online. So you need to be operating a computer. You should know how it is. Right. So formal education is the base. You got to develop that with your field skills. Okay. And then you will culminate into managing something.
So, but there are now less human who are part of this, because everything is going technology wise. Number of people who are being in the industry is less. So, what do you see it? Is it going to get lesser and lesser? Will India has to import labor from outside?
That's a difficult one, but I think we have people. We have to start attracting talent.
Okay.
Our business is a people's business, both sides of the fence. Here I'm attracting guests. Here I have to attract talent.
Okay.
If I don't attract the right talent, the places are not going to work. I
Okay.
cannot do it by myself. So if somebody says it's only me, it'll not happen. His team, his talent, he's attracting talent. That talent is getting the product. You're attracting guests. You're attracting guests, money's flowing.
Okay. That's a skill set you need to have to
You
attract guests.
you have to
need
start
be
spotting talent. You have to start developing talent. Right. At a certain level, I will bring in that talent. Till a certain level, I will develop that talent.
Just a quick closing note. Share an incident which is etched in your memory, which you feel is something which all those who are hearing us would like to take back and say, okay, this is the way we should be. It might have been, I mean, it's a fighting mentality. What do you think? No, is there any particular incident which you feel you would like to?
I just feel at times like we suppress our emotions and we work and we are always there ready to go, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So that takes a lot.
Okay.
During the season, less sleep.
Any particular incident which you want to relate to? It's coming to your mind?
I would relate to that time when the worst time we had was when Mumbai was attacked, and we were also stuck because we were behind the Taj. Both our restaurants were very much there. We were full of people, but our crew really worked. I mean, they worked right through, looked after them for the next 24 hours till till the guests could be taken off.
You were there at the Kolaba place at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. So you I mean, that incident kind of affected you all also. You were just next door.
We were, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, I mean, the fighting spirit that the staff had that time and that night I saw was amazing.
Any final takeaway for people to hear from?
I mean, it's a great industry, and I hope
be there.
Be there.
Be there. Stick around. We're going to have a lot of good things happening because India is a culture where we're going to have so many things.
India is a growing story now.
It's a growing story. So be a part of the story. That's what we request all the next generation to come up. Take it right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
It's been so wonderful talking to you, and thank you for coming on, Somnath, sir.
Thank you.
It's been such a wonderful experience. Thank you so much.
All the best to you.